thetruthmedia.org, talking with Paula Campbell from the UK, who's experiencing some heavy-duty trouble running into corporations that are perpetuating the United Nations Agenda 21. So we'll take it right from the beginning. And so Paula, basically you're a farmer out in England, correct?
We're actually, I run a sanctuary. We take all the waste and strays, all of the sick or injured, homeless animals. Yeah.
Okay.
Just there to help however we can.
Okay, and you pay mortgage to a company that you have ran into trouble with. Why don't you tell us a bit of what happened? I remember you telling me that you had some financial difficulties at one point in your life, and you were a little bit behind mortgages, but you repaid all those mortgages, and this company was trying to use that fact against you to evict you in an aggressive, arbitrary way. Why don't you tell us about that before we get into anything else?
Yeah, we took out the mortgage in 2006, and I disagreed with it. Was quickly sold to another company, and they appeared on the land registry. So I disagreed with that, and they said it was too late. They very quickly started to come after me for literally the first payment, and it carried on. They were adding charges, interest, ignoring telephone calls. They basically were just making life really unbearable. Until last year, they actually refused payment. They wouldn't allow me to make any payments. So I forced the money into the account. And I think a lot of people have been in difficulties for a while, and we have been struggling, but we have been making payments. And what's been happening with us is they've been refusing initial payments, even an offer of payments. They wouldn't allow me to make any small payments. It had to be the full amount. So when they dragged me into court, it's been a few thousand pounds. But last year they really, really started with me. Like I said, they were refusing payments. So I forced it into the account. We went back into court. It didn't make any difference. They actually didn't disclose it. I took in statements to show that the money had been paid. We had money to go forward. The judge took their side and threw it out. So I went to appeal. Appealed. They still took their side. Bear in mind, we went to court in November for appeal. I've given 6,000. I've given another 2 in December. We're up to date. They disputed the fact. They said I still owed the money. And when they got us out in January, they had another 9,700 from us. And they just ignored us completely. I was shown a willingness. If the debt was there, if it was there, then we would pay it. But they were just not acknowledging anything at all. These companies just seem to be a loss of themselves. I was just bothered and still bothered about our home, and we're still fighting back to reclaim our home. The documents, we've had forensic analysis go look at the documents, it's fraudulent, the court orders are not correct. The initial claim that they haven't even come forward with the initial claim. We've asked them to, in fact, about 4 emails that the solicitors received from us just last week. They just ignored every request, and there was a court hearing in which the judge actually told them to disclose the information, and they had last week to disclose that information, and they ignored that. We've got nothing, no documents, nothing. It's okay for them to ignore things, but when we ignore these, this big court system documentation, we get into bother for it, but to them, it's fine. It's okay for them to ignore everything, which is what they've done. But I'm really fighting back. I know there's a lot of people probably think, oh, you're fighting, what's the point? And you can't win against these because they're too powerful. But you have to. You've at least got to try, and I'm definitely not a quitter. Oh.
Yeah. So this corporation's trying to evict you because there's like there's a bigger picture to all of this. You were saying that they're pro clean energy, and there's another company trying to set up a wind turbine farm near your property or on your property, I believe. And basically, you think this is correlating to exactly that because I remember you said something like you were pretty vocal about not liking the wind turbines and you wanted nothing to do with them, right?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly right. 3 years ago, the Oak Control group initially came to me and asked if I would sell some of the land so they could put a cable through. And it's the conservation area. And I said, no, could you not take it a different route? They didn't explain exactly what the intentions were. All the fact that it had an initial payment of £60,000 and all the planning was actually already in place. They just said it had to be a small cable with nothing really. It's just they needed this area. Well, I didn't want to, so I said no. So they came back to me a few times, and I still kept saying no. And then another company took over from them, and this is a private corporation. And what's happened is they've somehow managed to get planning permission through to the first turbine, and then another 3 turbines after that. I was never told, and bear in mind that the first one lies approximately 400 metres from our house, which is quite close. And I think the requirement's about 12 to 1,500 metres. That's the advisable distance away from a residential house.
Yeah, because they say there's negative health effects that come with these wind turbines spinning close to people's properties.
Yes, that's exactly it. Like I said, we managed to get this through without even people from Wellington, which is very close to us. Nobody in Wellington actually knew about the planning application. Nobody was consulted. It's just got in through the back door and being put in place very secretly. So obviously, I'm in the way. Little me, nobody me. I'm right in the way of this corporation. And obviously, like I say, I'm fighting back. Well, they got permission for this first one, but they've got another 3 in place, and there's quite a few more, which they want to fill the valley up. And there's wind turbines everywhere. Certain areas, it's horrendous. What you used to have forests and sort of ancient meadows. Everything's just hedgerows ripped out. It's just a complete devastation wherever these companies seem to be. And if this is green, what's the point of destroying all the natural surroundings around? It's incredible what he's doing.
So your story exactly shows Canadians that this green agenda, this United Nations Agenda 21, is definitely more than just nationwide and continental. It's all around the world. And it's because, the elitists are realizing that we have the technology right now that we can utilize for ourselves on our own individual properties, a smaller form of these technologies that don't have these negative health effects, like a smaller wind turbine, some solar panels. People can utilize these and essentially live off the grid. And I think that they're afraid of that, so they're manipulating people like, hey, look at this green energy, support us. Less pollution for the environment, support us. We're going to go put all these wind turbines and solar farms all over the place without the general public even realizing that they're still going to be paying for that electricity. So, yeah, okay, it's go clean, go green, but you're still being enslaved to pay these hydro bills. And anybody who gets in the way of this, go green agenda, they have the power to try to shut them down, just like in your case.
That's exactly it. The local farmer whose land they planned on, or majority of them planned on, he actually stands to make 7.4 million, which is, you know, it's quite a lot of money. So they obviously are nothing. I don't even come into the equation. All they can see is the pound sign. Yeah, it is worldwide, and there's a mad rush right now to make sure that we get the grant and we get the planning in place so that we can have these turbines everywhere. The security system, which is called K9 Search Solutions, based at Merseyside in England, and they seem to be a bit of a they seem to be connected with other security firms worldwide, if you like. And one of the head ones is actually called Frankie MBE, and he's on his profile, he's involved with the green energy turbines, and he happens to be a Catanian. I don't know if you know anything about Catanians, but if you know anything about the Masons, the Catholics, the Catanians are along the Catholic side of the equivalent of the Masons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. This is the first I ever heard of the Catanians.
That's incredible, because people need to realise what they exactly dealing with. It's like the Masons, you know, the Freemasons, and they're all interconnected, and it keeps something that I didn't realise how much, or how awful some of these organisations are, and they really don't care about us. They absolutely do not care about us.
Well, there are factions within the Freemasons that have sinister agendas and, you know, brotherhoods and secrecies, but you know, there are a lot of Masons that are not. It's a compartmentalization of power, but there are a lot of Masons that aren't in on this whole, you know, corruption aspect of it. But yes, there are definitely factions of these secret societies that are interconnected and, you know, are manipulating the powers that be, or, you know.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's that old thing, isn't it? There's good and bad in all things. But our home right now looks like, it's an awful thing for me to say, but it looks like Auschwitz, because it's got massive security, guards with lots of dogs, huge metal railings all around it, and if this is just to secure, you know, our property, there's definitely a hidden agenda, and we've had, because of what they actually do with the property, there's been a lot of people actually go there just to see what's going on, because they can't believe it. It's so ridiculous. It's just a high security profile. It's just madness.
So there's lots of people being aware of your situation in your area. You have some support.
There is, but we kind of like need more support, and we need the story to, you know, so we're not just a little farm in the middle of nowhere, hidden away, and we're being ignored. It's not just about us. It's about what's happening and starting to happen, and it's getting quicker and faster as it goes on. It's worldwide.
Yeah.
What's happening? We've even had a hate campaign set up against us, which is, it's just, and we know where it began from, and it had to come from the security firm itself. Certain people in the organisation had started their own Facebook accounts with such hurtful things, or just to really discredit my name and the sanctuary and what we've done for all of my life, and just to really, you know, try and demoralise you so you would give up. Well, it hasn't worked, because like I say, we are fighting back, but there are a lot of people who are so intertwined, and you are fighting against them all the time because they want their own way, and I'm not prepared to give it.
So let me see if I heard you say this correctly. You said around your property right now there is like a police state security situation going on?
Yes, exactly.
So do you have pictures and videos of this?
We have. Don actually did quite a good video of this. I've even got a video. We took back our property, and when we went in, he immediately smashed through the water pipe, so we had no water, and we had no water for 3 days. My daughter attempted to get water to us, and she was attacked by the security guards, and they held her off, shall we say. The local farmer, who I mentioned, he's allowing the turbines on his land. He actually allowed the security firm to patrol his land to make sure nobody could reach us with any water.
Oh my God!
Oh, it don't get better. The local police constabulary, Durham Constabulary, actually refused to help us in any way, shape or form. They took my phone, so we had no contact for, well, a day and a bit, but we had no water for just over 3. And it was only at that point that I thought, my God, yes it is, it's a police state. And the police were just aiding and abetting. We actually saw what they did as well. They went into our home, they took our possessions. I'm not a possession person, don't get me wrong, but you know, family mementos, pictures, photos, and things like that. We actually watched them and videotaped them as well, myself and my son. They just ransacked our home, took all of our things. They had a bonfire, a huge fire at one side, and tried to burn us out.
They were being violent with you guys.
Oh yes, yeah. In Thursday night, they tried to saw through the steel shutters. This is a professional security firm, and they tried to saw through steel shutters. They were making ridiculous animal sounds, which, I mean, that doesn't bother us because we used to live in an isolated location. So that was.
Well, you need mindless men. You need mindless, strong men to be able to perpetuate these agendas for these wealthy individuals.
Well, that's what they employ, because they seem to be so robotic. They haven't got brains to be able to think for themselves. And obviously all their concern is for the wage packet at the end of the week. There seems to be no compassion at all in any of them. But and what they even did, they tried to booby trap the door. They left an alarm, it was some sort of a rope with an alarm or a buzzer attached to it outside of the door to make them aware. When I went out the door, anyway, the intimidation was horrendous. But the dogs, I mean, why have all those dogs? Why have I think there was about 8 to 10 patrols around? I mean, a pocket handkerchief size farm really in comparison to anything else, and making this huge fuss. But I mean, why anybody would subject another human to what they subjected us to is. It's just not. It's none of it's right. It's totally immoral, and against everything, against all human. You know, when you're deprived of every basic right, which we have been, and the police, which are meant to be there to protect you, the peacekeeping officers, they took their side at every opportunity. It was just incredible. Oh, yeah, you do feel as though you've had all of your rights stripped.
It's a shame, and you have no property rights when you're experiencing these types of things. They're definitely being infringed upon, but it just goes to show you how badly they want this, smart grid to be implemented. They really want these wind turbines to go up. And Terry Wilson from Press for Truth, while he was working for Canadian Awareness Network, he told me that, there are places in the world where, I forget where, I think it was in Australia, where they implemented all these wind turbines, and they weren't even producing enough electricity to power the population. So, I mean, it makes no sense to be installing these things on a mass scale the way they are right now. And I don't know if it's happening there, but here in Canada, they're shutting down all the coal power, well, not all of them, but majority of the coal power plants down. And we are suspected to raise 50% of our hydro bills are going up in the next 5 years. Is there something going like that there with you guys too?
It's, oh yes, everything's going up. Everything, the cost of living, everything. And what I'm noticing more and more of is what we call an asset stripping. Anybody who has some of my friends and some people I've just become in contact with, if they've had their portfolios of properties or individual properties, certain farms or a manor house, anything like that, somehow it's been manipulated in ways which the bank or certain bodies have managed to get those properties from them. Exactly the same situation as us. There's a guy called Guy Taylor from Boardman Manor. It's Hereford, and he's had his manor, didn't know anything on it. He's managed to have his manor house taken from him and 20 tenants put out on the street, his own young family, all of the possessions locked inside, exactly like us. And they've taken all of his things as well and basically destroyed everything. And he's fighting back to regain his property. But the documents are fraudulent. The so-called court documents have been forensically analysed as well. They're just using, little bits of paper which mean absolutely nothing. There's a complete breakdown in the system as we know it, and it just appears that the so-called powers that be have such little disregard for us and our welfare now that they're stripping everything, absolutely every mortal thing they're trying to strip us from. It's as though they're corralling us into all of the cities, get them into these housing communities. So we can tend to them, like pets.
Yeah.
That's what it's obvious to me, because it's this systematic stripping of your rights and stripping of, if anybody's slightly different, and I suppose it would sound slightly different doing the work I've done.
Yeah, like you said, they're trying to consolidate everybody into mega cities. They're trying to get everybody from the country moving in these mega cities. And that way we're all dependent, we're totally dependent on the system.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I often refer to it as being like a hamster in a cage. And if you behave yourself, you might give you a wheel to run in or a few treats. But I think it's creeping up faster now. And a lot of people are not even realising that it's there. And I always say it's a bit like the soap opera syndrome, where people are just happy to sit in a chair, watch TV, have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and they're not aware they're so dumbed down to what's happening. It's going to happen, and then they're going to think, how's this happened? Why have we let this happen? And then it'll be too late for them. Whereas some, myself included, and quite a few others, we're fighting back. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy, and they've obviously got all of the means at hand to try and control us even more. But these turbines, it's just about the grant. I mean, I think it's pretty clear to everybody now how they decommission, and so many of them, they've got the permission, they built them, they realise they're useless. There's actually quite
waste a bunch of money.
Yeah. It's just about money. It's not about the green energy. It's not about helping people. It's about the landowners, the corporations, having all of these grants and swindling the people and just doing what they like and not helping. It's just not helping at all. I'm not saying it's all wrong. And like you said there, we have individual rights to have our basic human needs. Why can't people grow their own food and have their own energy And why should you be having to pay for water? I mean, it's a God-given right that these things are meant to be free for all of us and for our enjoyment. So why have these corporations suddenly decided we are your bosses and we're going to do what we like and you have to do what you're told? It's very much like that right now.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail with the hammer. We truly live in a corporatism where the corporations are ruling us, and the laws that our governments pass are in favor of the corporations and are not in favor of the well-being of the citizens.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the sad thing is, like I said, a lot of people are either still asleep or you can see what's happening and they don't care. And maybe it will when it gets too, pushes on a bit further. But for some of us now that are really pushing back, we're having everything thrown at us because we are pushing back. And I keep saying, if I have an accident, it's not an accident because we've had down to death threats to my daughter. It's just, it's horrendous. I don't know. You see myself. We're not meant to harm anybody or anything, and I don't understand why you would want to cause or inflict so much pain and suffering on another human or anybody or anything. But they do, and they do it because.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they do it. First of all, they're giving you death threats for intimidation, so you stand down, and they know that the way humans operate is if we see other people stand up and win when they stand up, it causes a ripple effect amongst the population, and other people start standing up. So they're trying to put you down to make sure you submit to them and don't make an example of a victory for yourself so that other people would follow in your footsteps. They want to shut you down. And I would never take death threats lightly. Those are definitely something concerning. Hopefully you contacted police.
I'm sorry, but I have to laugh at that. The police, yeah. Well, complicit in lots of things. I'm not too sure we have a police force anymore. I think it's a private corporate-run firm which supports the banks and not the people. The police focused, well, it was two police officers and 4 sort of PCSOs. They were the 4 which I saw a couple of times and then they were quickly stopped from coming anywhere near us. 2 of the police officers in particular were actually in tears. And I said to them at the time, you know it's wrong, and you're peacekeeping officers, you're for the people. Why are you doing this, and why are you supporting these corporations into doing what they're doing? And they were crying, they were literally crying. I know people have said, oh well, it was probably crocodile tears, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
You made a touch to them.
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I would have thought that they were genuine, and one was a huge, big, strapping police officer, and he was upset because I think his heart was touched with the way I was being treated and the way we were being dragged from our home. I mean, the day of our eviction was horrendous.
Yeah.
Because it was just horrendous. We had about 40-something men in black, because that's what we were. Long black coats, just men in black, private security firm, the dogs, handlers, the police. We even had an armed response unit at the bottom of our track, and it was nothing less than military tactics that they used. They dragged my son from the house, tried to intimidate one. My daughter had bruises on her. I actually collapsed. They wouldn't show me the documents, and I collapsed. And my dad seems to think that perhaps he did something for me to collapse the way I did. But I was at that point. My friend who was a nurse, she'd overheard a solicitor, a bailiff, and a few of these private ones talking. And they said if she doesn't get into an ambulance, we'll section her and get her away. so my friend, she's really upset, and she said, Paula, you've got to get in the ambulance when they tell you to, because they intend to section you and take you away. Well, I mean, you can't do that. There's certain things that you have to, you can't just do that. So anyway, I was forced into an ambulance, and I was taken away, and I had, and obviously my son, my daughter, my elderly dad, everything was left. All of the animals, I mean, the animals were distraught because they rescued animals. To have all of these strange people and dogs, it was just barbaric, absolutely barbaric. I'm trying not to get upset actually going back over it, because it's just so distressing. So we got me to hospital, and the doctor there actually said, they cut me shirt and cut me trousers, it was just ridiculous. So the doctor said, who's made you come in? I said, well, I was forced in under the threat of being sectioned. And she demanded to know who said this, so I explained the whole situation. She was absolutely furious that I'd been treated the way I had. And just, by the time I eventually got out from there, everything was shuttered up. There was steel shutters everywhere, locks on the door. My family had been removed. All of our things were just left. I wasn't even allowed to return to see the animals. It was just terrible. They're not human. I've got to emphasise that point. I'm sure they are not human, because I couldn't fix anything like that on another person. I couldn't.
Yeah, essentially, this is like a kind of like what was going on in the U.S., like with the Bundy Ranch there. It's different scenarios, but it's a little bit like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually pleased that you mentioned about the Bundys, because somebody had referred to, a very similar situation, different circumstances, but very similar, because Bundys also had a bit of a hate campaign set up. There's a lot of support, and then they start to call and sort of pick over things and rake over people's pasts and trying to find things that they can turn the general public against you. I'm not one for judging anybody on anything, and speak to them yourself first. Don't go making judgments on hearsay, because that's where most of it is. But they've done the same with us. I mean, it was absolutely just terrible. I can't even find the right word for it, to actually say some of the things which they had wrote and what they had done to some of the animals. It just it breaks my heart. It really does, because I've done this for so long. And to be called in the way I have, and to see my family ridiculed in the way they have, then what have I done? And you think, what have I done? But on saying that as well, I mentioned about the police force. Well, we have a corrupt court system as well, because we've had no justice go through the court system either. And obviously it's civil, and it's the banks again, they seem to be running absolutely everything. And you say, well, you have a fighting chance, but when you walk into their arena, you really are walking into their arena.
They make the rules. You got to just play by their rules, and they get to break their own rules, and you can't break their rules. That's how it is in this system right now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how good they are at breaking the rules. We had a Part 8 claim at the High Court at Leeds on Friday, and the main hearing wasn't meant to be heard, because we hadn't had a set hearing date yet. The documents weren't prepared fully. We had some of them, but not all of them. So you don't go to a court to be ambushed. At least that's what we told. We went for an induction hearing to prevent them from selling the property. So we went on Friday gone, walked into the courtroom. It was in front of a judge who I previously complained about because of his treatment towards us, and I told him that he couldn't sit before us because it would be unfair, probably biased or prejudicial, and we didn't want to put him in that position as well as ourselves. Well, he refused to step down, and he felt that he could prove his own. He was honourable enough to sit on his own and sort of see over the judgment, whatever it might be. So he refused, and we were forced to endure that, which obviously he threw the injunction out, but he didn't just throw the injunction out, he threw the main claim out, which hadn't even been listed for a hearing. I mean, how is that possible? He just got all the documents and just, well, I was totally without merit, and then I was threatened with, if you further this or try to proceed or do anything else, you'll have a civil restraining order placed upon you. I mean, obviously, we can't stop you appealing. There are other courses to take. We have got other measures in place, which we are taking. And like I say, I'm a fighter. They're going to have to kill me. They really are. And I keep saying to them, if I have an accident, I have got to stand my ground on this now, just to prove to other people that, and obviously my family as well, I'm not a coward, and I'm not going to back down. I'm not violent. I'm doing everything peacefully. They've done everything they possibly could to destroy myself and my family and intimidate us in every which way, and it's not right.
I totally admire your courage, and I really do wish you the best of luck. We are running out of time here. Is there anything that you would like to say to sum it up?
Stay strong, fight on, don't give up, and just be very, very careful who you trust in this world, because the corporations are there to just to railroad us into everything. And if people can support and keep our story going and make sure that even though we are in the UK, this is a worldwide thing, and it doesn't matter where we are. We're all brothers and sisters. We're on this planet together. This is our home, and they have stolen it. They've stolen our rights, and it's time that we stand up and take it back, because it's not theirs, it's ours.
Keep up the good fight, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for your time. We will definitely keep in touch, and you can keep me updated on the situation so we can help you get the story out there to Canadians, the UK, and the rest of the world.